All righty. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our Vinoshipper and Block 55 webinar today. I am joined by Adrian Harrison from Vinoshipper, our communications manager, as well as AJ Weinzettel of Block 55. He will be leading this today. So if you have any questions, please feel free to enter them into the chat, and then I will moderate and ask those questions to AJ when he has a moment. So AJ, if you're ready, we can take it away.
Yeah, no, thank you. I will gladly take it away and I will start sharing my screen here. And so I do have a slide deck here, and who wants to join a good old webinar with a bunch of slides because they're all boring and everything. I think we're, actually here to see things in action and how things work. So, I will start off a little bit with some boring things about Block 55. And the main reason is, why did I build Block 55? I've been in tech since 1993. I know I'm an old guy, but it's fun to see tech and how it has progressed. And one of the things that I saw in 2020 when all the wineries needed reservations, you know, I was looking at front ends and back ends of different reservation systems. And one thing that I noticed, for especially one of the bigger reservation systems out there, was how complex it was for wineries and how expensive it was. And then as I got into it more, I noticed that this system was actually built for restaurants and it wasn't built for wineries. And so the reason I built Block 55 is to create something that isn't complex, isn't expensive, and it was built more out of necessity and not theory. When we look at features for Block 55, there are so many features that's underneath the hood. We're going to show off all of these features, including the integration that we have with Vinoshipper, the customer sync, being able to bring over the CRM information, club discounts, and how all of that ties into the Vinoshipper email marketing that is set up inside Vinoshipper today. But there's one important feature that stands upon everything else, and it is a user interface that is extremely easy for the winery, and it's also easy for customers to place reservations. And as far as that goes, that is pretty much it for slides. We're just going to dive straight in to the demo, and we're gonna get started here. So first thing I'm going to show you is I'm logged into an instance of Vinoshipper, and you can see that I have two customers here. And the reason I'm showing that off is because I want to show the interaction between Block 55 and Vinoshipper in real time. Everything is in real time. There's no batch processing that needs to happen. There is no extra work that needs to happen for you as a winery to make all of this work. The other thing that I want to show you, is one of the features for Block 55, and that is our integration in with Google Calendar. I'm going to be making all the reservations today for Saturday the 28th. And you can see that there are no entries here in my Google Calendar for the 28th. So those two things, nothing on the 28th, and we only have Tom Cruise and myself right now in Vinoshipper. When we start to look at Block 55 itself, we see, there is a nice hero image, and we also see like a green color here. And I'm going to get into some other things, but I want to show you, Block 55 customizes for you and your winery. For Campbell Lane Winery here, we brought in their beautiful hero image, and their purple color is prominent. So this gives the customers that are placing reservations still that look and feel of the winery when they come here to make a reservation on Block 55. As we dive further into the actual landing page here for reservations, you can see that we have experience photos just right here, so the user can scroll through, get an idea of your property, and also possibly, more details about the tasting itself. And these are one of the brand new features that we are launching, here in just a couple days. We are almost done with that. And we also have ticketed events that we'll get into in a little bit later. So as we come through here to place an actual reservation, a customer comes here very quickly. They're able to see what days are enabled or disabled. So it's very easy to say, oh, yeah, well, on the 28th, I want to make a reservation. So as we come in here, Meg Ryan is wanting to kind of come join the party. And, she loves sparkling wine. I mean, that's what I was told, you know, through the grapevine. So as we come through here, put in our contact information, we pick a time slot of 1 o'clock, and we have a party size of 4. One of the features that we do have added on is reservation add-ons. So we can actually, have, a charcuterie board or a cheese plate or something else that can be added on to the reservation. And then from here, we get a confirmation of the actual reservation. And if we click here, we have like a little reservation portal. And on this portal, you have the ability to put up a video, welcoming your customers, to the winery or to the tasting room, whatever you would like to put up there. And then, we can come up here and put in we are celebrating a birthday, or, just any sort of information that you want to give the winery. So that information, as we'll see later on, will go through into the reservation itself. Other things that happen, during this process are emails and text messages that go out. So on the email side, the customer gets a confirmation email. And then on the text message side, since I'm acting as the winery and as the customer, there are 2 text messages. So this first text message, goes to the winery to say, hey, we just had a reservation placed. It was Meg Ryan. Here's their contact information. Here is the tasting that they chose. Here's the date and the time and the party size. And then for the customer, there is the text message, thanking them to the, basically the confirmation text message. And inside that is a link to that reservation portal that I showed you earlier, all along here with the actual reservation side of things. Before I get into ticketed events, I want to pop over here to Vinoshipper just real quick. And I want to do a refresh. And you can see that Meg Ryan is now in Vinoshipper with all of the contact information that was entered into the reservation system. And one thing that that we was talking about earlier for the email marketing is now Meg Ryan is set up for marketing notifications inside Vinoshipper. So this means when you go to do your MailChimp newsletters, all the customers that signed up for reservations inside Block55 are automatically added to your MailChimp emails. And then one other thing I will show you before we pause for some questions is we're going to come over here to Google Calendar, and we can see automatically that this reservation has been added to our Google Calendar. So you can see it's Meg Ryan, party of 4, along with the contact information. And so this allows you to, have a master calendar that's going on, for your winery. Maybe you have bottling going on, maybe you have picking going on, or whatever. You're able to see everything in one spot, including reservations. And with that, I'll just pause just a little bit because I see that looks like there's some questions or at least some talking or whatnot going on in the chat.
Yeah, so there's a couple questions. 2 of them are sort of similar. So, if you already have a website and don't want to manage another, can Block 55 reservations be embedded in my existing website?
So we are working on the embedding onto onto your existing website. But it is super easy just to have, a little link onto your website that goes over to Block55. There's very little maintenance or additional stuff that's needed for this second website. It's, literally putting up your winery name, a hero image, and then just maintaining your reservations. This is super easy to set up, so not much maintenance at all.
Are text messages included in the cost or are they an additional cost?
Everything that I show you today is included. There are no additional costs. There's no additional packages. It is everything that you're seeing here. There are no add-ons per se.
Okay. Is MailChimp the exclusive email client?
That is something I'm unable to answer because I know that Vinoshipper has the integration in with Vinoshipper, or MailChimp integrates in with Vinoshipper. I don't know if there's other email integrations with Vinoshipper or not, so I can't answer that question.
As of right now, the only Vinoshipper email integration is MailChimp, but we are working on adding more.
Awesome. Thank you.
What Google account calendar does this get synced to? And is that a setting in the Block55 configuration?
So inside Block55, the process that you end up going through is you log into your Google account. And then once you've authenticated and given us permission to read and publish to your calendar, you're then presented with a list of calendars, and you choose one of those calendars for us to publish to.
And so is only with a Google Calendar, or can you also do like Outlook?
Right now, it is only just a Google Calendar. That's what everybody's been asking for.
Okay. Um, what happens if two customers try to pick the same date and time for the reservation?
It depends on how you have the reservation itself set up. If you have multiple tables, let's say you have 5 tables, that can sit a total of 20 people. That's not a problem at all. So it's just a matter of how much inventory you have. And, if that inventory runs out, it will come up and say, we're sorry, we're, unable to seat your party of 4, at this time, please select a different time slot if all that inventory is gone.
Okay. And this question I feel like is a little similar, but if we already have Vino on our website, how does this integrate? It's kind of similar to what we talked about earlier.
Well, I'll show a real world example real quick. So like Jacob Williams Winery is a customer, so they have a tab up here that says reservations. And then they have two tasting rooms. And so, they have two different links here. And so if we click on one of these links, it just automatically goes over to Block55. And that's the integration. It is just a simple HTML link that goes over. Most webmasters, can set that up in less than 5 minutes. It's super, super easy.
Okay. And the last question is something I think you're going to demo. But can you show us how to block out dates that are either closed or unavailable? But I think you're going to show us that.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. The first thing I'm going to do is, show paid events, and then we'll get into the admin interface, and I'll be sure to show off blackout dates. Making a note real quick. Okay. So with that, if that's all of the questions for now.
yeah, I think so.
Okay. So now I'm going to show off ticketed events, and this is going to be one of the fun things that I really enjoy showing off, especially with the integration with Vinoshipper. We've already seen like the customer sync that happens back and forth, but we'll get to see some stuff in real time. So with ticketed events, it's, you can have multiple dates set up. You have a pretty picture, all the details that go with the event. A customer can come in here, choose however many tickets that they want. If there's multiple days, they can choose which date they want to show up. And so, and then you have like ticket options. So for this specific example, I have different time slots that allows a certain number of people to come in at a certain time. So a lot of people are using these for pickup parties. So if you want people to come in at 11 or at 1, that is great. But let's say if you're doing like a winemaker dinner, you could use these ticket options also for like vegetarian, gluten-free, or unrestricted. It is completely up to you and however you want to handle that. And as we come in here, I'm going to go over to Vinoshipper just real quick. And I want to show you something. So Tom Cruise here, he is a club member. And that's going to be important here in just a second. And I'll show you why. So as we come in here, Tom Cruise is going to come, to our tasting that we have set up. And as we come in here to book this, you're going to see that there is a member discount right here. And so what is actually happening is in real time, multiple things. Number one, is Tom Cruise in Vinoshipper? They are. Okay, great. Is Tom Cruise a member? Yes, he is. Okay, great. So then that information comes back over to Block 55. Block 55 says, oh, well, this Vinoshipper customer is already a member. Is there a discount for members on this event? Well, there are. Great. Let's apply that discount. And so I'm going to show you, we're going to do this in a couple times. So I will show the credit card processing here in just a second, but I want to show this process in real time. So if we come in here as Meg Ryan, who is not a member right now, and goes through the same process, you will see that there will not be a member discount. So we have no member discount set up here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to Vinoshipper and I'm going to make Meg Ryan a club member. So we come in here to clubs. We're going to add her to the Block 55 club. We're going to create a address. And I got to move things around so I can see. Add address. Sure, it's correct. And so now when we go to our customer list, we can see that Meg Ryan is now a club member. So now when we go over here to get tickets for Meg Ryan, this will show you that in real time, I am going over to Vinoshipper and asking all of the questions. So now I'm saying book now, and look at that. In real time, I see that Meg Ryan is a club member getting that discount. So as I was saying earlier, there was all of the, there's no two things that you have to manage. It's all in Vinoshipper, and then we just bring it all back. So it's super easy. You don't have to maintain two different sets of customers. You don't have to export, a CSV file or anything from Vinoshipper and then import that over into Block 55. That is all done magically behind the scenes for you. So you don't have to worry about a single thing. So as we come in here and enter in our credit card information, we purchase the tickets and we get a nice, confirmation here. There are emails and text messages that go out as well, for, ticketed events. And I will show you that email. I'm waiting for that email. It hasn't came through yet, but you can see the text message here that says, thank you, Meg Ryan. We're looking forward. And then here is the email that just came through, for the event itself. So pretty cool. And like I said, I love showing that part off of the Block55 and Vinoshipper integration because everything is done in real time. And it's just, I think it's magical. And it just gets me excited every single time when I just do it. And I was like, oh, yay, the demo gods worked with me today. So that was really good to see. Um, Before I dive into the admin side of Block55, I'll pause again for some questions.
Alrighty. This is a question more for not at this exact time, but do you have a like step by step to show people how to integrate Block55 with their website or Vinoshipper?
Oh yeah, yes. And so in every customer that does sign up, is a custom me sitting down with you and onboarding any questions that you have. And then, the actual integration in, for Vinoshipper is I send you the instructions and it's, going into Vinoshipper and creating an API key. Um, and wasn't
Mm,
expecting integrations, API keys, and then you just come in here, create a new key, and you just send me that key, and poof, that is it. It is super easy on the actual integration side of it yourself.
Alrighty. So when you booked that reservation, there was a service fee of $7.50. Is that a service fee that the winery is setting, or is that your service fee? There's a little confusion about the service fee of 750.
Yep, no, and that is understandable. So with that, you know, I Block55 needs to make a little bit of money, and so I don't want to take anything away from the winery. And so what I do is like if you use the Eventbrite or something, there is they charge service fees for everything. And so for paid events, I do charge a service fee that the customer gets charged. The winery itself does not get charged.
Okay. And so this one was $5 and was the event 750, or what was the difference there from the 5 and the 7?
It's $2. It's $2.50 per ticket.
Oh, okay. So it's per ticket. All right.
Correct.
Um, if someone is already a customer, will the email and phone number auto-populate?
In Vinoshipper?
I'm not clear on if they mean on Vinoshipper or if
Well,
they
that's
mean,
so I'm guessing that they come in here, set up uh, if they just only have Sally Smith. Oops. So see, you have to have a Sally at block55.com or an app. So then at that point, we have Sally at block55.app.
oh, they clarified auto-populate when they're making their reservation since they are a known person to the database.
So for example, like AJ Weinzettel here with AJ at ajw.me, it won't do anything to the Vino shipper since they're already in here and they make a reservation. I'm not going to add them again to Vino shipper. If that's answering the question, I'm not exactly sure if I'm
AJ,
answering the question.
I believe they mean like on Block55 when someone puts in their like if you book now and someone puts in their first name or first
Mhm.
and last name, does it auto populate there? Which I believe the answer is no.
Oh, I understand. Yeah, no, it does not auto-populate, unfortunately, no. Sorry, I
Okay.
misunderstood what
I
that
did
was.
too, so thank you, Adrian.
I got you.
Um, okay, if a guest joins a wine club during their reservation experience, how is that processed in Vino Shipper immediately real time? Yeah, we discussed that, so that's immediately. It does not need a batch sync. Um, Someone asked, we are interested in this service for events, not everyday use. Does that work with your setup or not? If yes, is the same payment arrangement fees?
Yes, it is. Yes, if you just want to use it just for events and, like if you just want to use Block55 as an Eventbrite replacement, that is totally doable. And, that would be pretty much the same fees as well. Yes.
Again, about the fees. Are the service fees for just doing reservations?
So the fees itself, what I end up charging is $50 a month. Actually, let me go back a little bit. I charge $1 per reservation with a minimum of $50 a month, but it never goes over $100 a month. And so if you do 150 reservations, I charge you $100. And then I'll get into events here in just a second. And so for events, if you end up doing like a free event, like a club member pickup, you're not going to charge your club members any money for that event. I charge $1 per ticket. So let's say that you do 55 reservations in a month and you do 200 tickets in a month. I charge you $100. So it never goes over $100 for reservations and for events.
Okay. Is there a way we can connect reservations from Block 55 to our Google Analytics so we can track and manage conversions?
I have Google Tag Manager set up, so I would just need your Google Tag Manager, um, you know, number that they give you, and we just plug that in, and you're good to go.
Okay. I think we're good on the questions. The rest are about blocking out events, but I know you're going to demo us that, so we'll wait so they can see that before we ask those
Okay.
questions.
Well, I will, I'll dive into the back end, and we'll just, since we're having multiple requests on blackout dates, we'll just demo that first. So for blackout dates, it is, extremely easy. You come in here well, first off, this is an iPhone, iPad, Mac OS app. There's not a web version. Most tasting rooms have an iPad, and the experience for an iPad, I feel, is extremely easy and wonderful. And we want to make everything super easy and wonderful for everybody out there. So we're at blackout dates, and we all know that the 4th of July is getting ready to come up. And, it's a Friday. You probably want to be open, but you're like, nope, I'm going to go hang out with my neighborhood friends, and I'm just going to take the day off. So as we do that, I want to flip over here first. And as we come in here to make a reservation, we can see for the 4th of July that it is wide open from 11, 1, and 3. That is where it is set up right now. So if I come in here and I want to block off, the 4th of July, I can block off the whole day, and I can hit save. And then you can see there's a little red X right here. So now when I come back over here to the website and I try to make a reservation for the 4th, that's not even an option anymore. And with the 4th, we all like to open up big old magnums and, all the sparkling and have a little bit of fun. So we don't want to be in at the winery at 11 a.m. the next morning. We want to be able to sleep in a little bit. So what we're going to do is come in here on Saturday, and we're going to block off, from midnight until, let's say, 11:30 a.m. So you can block off just part of the day. And then when we come back over here, we do a refresh and we try to make a reservation on Saturday the 5th. We can see that now only 1 and 3 is available, and that 11 o'clock slot is no longer there. And if you end up making a mistake, it's easy enough to come in here and say, ooh, I want to say until 2 o'clock. you can do that as well. You can just update it or you can delete it however you want to do it. So it's very easy to manage those blackout dates. And since there were multiple questions about that, I'll just pause and see if there's any questions about it.
Yeah, is there a way to block out events like, say you're having a pickup party and you want your club members to be able to go to that, but not the general public? Is there a way to kind of block it for the general public, but it is an
Mhm.
option for the club?
Yes. And I'll just show that real quick and then I'll go through my whole thing since we're talking about block offs.
Yeah.
So let's say that this is, it's only for club members, right? So it's listed here on our main website. So if we come in here to events and we say that it's a private event, we can just, flag it as private, and then we go to save it. And then that way, what you end up doing is you grab the URL and you can put it into your newsletter, and that doesn't show up here for the public at all, and it's just reserved for your club members.
Okay. Um, um, I think that's the only questions about the blockout dates. So if
Okay,
you want
very
to,
cool. Yeah. So I'll start off, with being able to show reservations. Inside Block 55, we have 3 different ways to view reservations, and it just kind of depends on how you want to see everything. And so the first way, is, at a day glance here, you're able to see that we have, 2 reservations at 11, one at 1, and then another one at 3 o'clock. This one here at 1, you can see that there's like a little knife and fork. I know it's probably hard for you to see, but that means that they entered, that they did an add-on for their reservation. And so they got the charcuterie board. And you can see here that, in the club, that they're not in the club and their lifetime value is 0. And so that information is coming from Vinoshipper in real time. So when you pull up that reservation, I'm going over to Vinoshipper and saying, hey, give me some more information about this customer. The other information that we're seeing is the customer notes. The customer notes are coming over from Vinoshipper as well. And so a great example that I like to show there is, earlier when we signed up Meg Ryan as a club member, we can see that, she is now part of the Block 55 club and her lifetime value is 0, well, because she's brand new. But also here for the customer notes, you can see here Thursday, June 26th, she was added to the Block 55 club by team member Block 55, which, that is pretty cool to have all those notes going back and forth. That way you don't have to go back and forth between both systems, and it is all right there. Another way that we can view all the reservations is with a calendar view. And so you can see, add a view, all of your reservations, events, and also the blackout dates. These are the blackout dates that we just entered, earlier. And you're able to see all the information that I just showed you. So here's like Meg Ryan's reservation, that she placed. If you want to see this in a day view, you just come up here in a day view and you can see for Friday, kind of what is going on. And you can see, that Meg Ryan is showing up at 1 and Tom Cruise is showing up at 3. And we have our event at 5 p.m. So all this information, is here and you're able to manage it from here as well. And I'm going to pause on that because the next way to view reservations is with table maps. And that's almost a whole big topic within itself.
yeah, let me just get us caught up on the questions really quick. Um, um, does, does Block get reviews from tasting room guests, and can those be linked to or redirected toward platforms like Google reviews or
Um,
Oh,
So I
it
didn't
looks
get
like we
everything.
we've lost
Yeah.
we've lost Melissa a bit there. The question
All
is,
right,
does
I
Block
froze.
55? Oh yes, you did. I've got you covered. Does Block 55 have a way to collect post-visit reviews from tasting room guests, and can those be linked to or redirected towards platforms like Google Reviews or Yelp to boost our online
Yes.
presence?
Yes. So what we can do is we can I can sit with the winery to create a custom post visit email that goes out, and then that will can link to your Google reviews or any other platform that you would like that to go to. So that can help with that experience.
Very cool. And next question, is there a way to have a wine club invite on an event to show wine club discount to encourage joining the club?
So basically, non-member be able to say, hey, we love you. We would love for you to be able to join this event. I've talked to customers about this, and I will say as of right now, there isn't anything set up to specifically do that. But I think we could probably find a way to work around and make that happen.
Nice. And then next question, regarding inventory available for the tasting venue, where inventory equals seats or capacity, how is that set? I believe you're about to show that on the table map view.
Yes,
And
I will show
then
that. Yep.
perfect. And then the last is, will it integrate into Squarespace? The answer is similar to previous. You will just add a button or a hyperlink onto your Squarespace website, and then that will take you straight to, or that will take the customer straight to the reservation page.
That is correct. Yes.
Perfect. That is it for now. So if you want to show the table view, that is exciting.
Okay, I will do that. So this is the third way to look at reservations. And I'm going to kind of come back at this in a different manner because we have tables, right? So we need to be able to come in here and be able to set up tables. So you're able to manage all of the number of tables that you have. Like if you have your four tops here, you can come in here, create a custom name for it, the number of tables that you have, and then of course the capacity of those tables. And so you're able to create however much inventory that you want and go from there. And then you're able to come in here to your experiences, and you're able to say, okay, I want fireplace seating to be added to this experience, and I want my tasting room four tops to also be added to this experience. So that way, when people are making reservations, that inventory is there. And that's how we're able to see if there's any availability. Earlier when that question came up of, two people making a reservation at the same time. If there's inventory here for them, yes, they're able to make that reservation at the same exact time. And so then that brings us to table map. And you can have multiple table maps. So right now I'm showing you a patio view. And then, right here, we have a tasting room view. So if we come in here and we look for the 27th, we're able to see the reservations that we have set up for Friday. We're able to see, all the same information that we saw earlier. We're able to see that this reservation that they did an add-on, and we tap on here and we get all that same information that I was showing you earlier. All the contact information, the add-ons that they added, if there was a note added, and then all the customer notes from Vinoshipper. And then since we're, been talking about Meg Ryan reservation, so here's Meg Ryan's reservation. And again, we're able to see, all of her contact information, the club, the lifetime value, and then the customer notes. And if you pay attention just real quickly, in this upper left-hand corner, you'll see just the phone number and the email address. And then you'll see like club and LTV just kind of pop in. And I'll just do it real quick. And that's a great example of that real-time lookup happening. which is really, really cool. So I'm already, I've already got all the basic reservation information, but then I'm like in real time popping over to Vinoshipper. For this, we're also able to accept walk-ins. So you're able to tap on the little person up here walking. They have 4 guests coming in, and let's say that your tasting is for 60 minutes. You're able to come in here and see that you have a walk-in customer. You tap on that customer, and then you seat them, at the foretop here. And I know it's probably difficult to see, but you can see, what time the customer was seated, what time that they're what time their tasting is supposed to be over, and then how many minutes are left. And as this progresses, this changes color. So this color is like everything is okay. Down here at the bottom, you see like there's like an orange color, which means that there's 15 minutes left in the reservation. And then if that table turns red, that means that time is up, and it's like, woof, we got to get them out. And then, there's another color for checked out, which we'll take a look here in just a minute. To manage these table maps, you're able to come in here and manage all of this yourself. So here are all your tables. You're just able to kind of drag and drop however you want this to look, and you can rotate these views if you want to, which is really cool. And then if you want to bring in like another table, you could bring in like community, and it is all set up and ready to go. And you're able to go through your different maps here. You're able to set up, a new map, and it is all good to go, and it's super easy. As I was saying earlier, the number one feature for all of this is an easy to use interface for all the customers and for the winery. And then to like clear out this table, you're able to tap on the table, and we're going to check them out. I like to ask 2 simple questions when they're checking out: is did they buy wine, and did they join the club? And what this will do is, we'll have a nice report for you to be able to say, 50% of our customers that came in for reservations bought wine, and 10% joined the club just from the reservations, which is really, really cool. And so now we're able to see that this walk-in customer has been checked out. And that is table maps, and that's a great place to pause. For questions.
Is there a way to track how long they have been seated, rather than how much time is left in the reservation?
Right now, it is just by how much time is left in the reservation. So if you do like a 30-minute here, you're able to see, that there's 25 minutes left in the reservation.
Okay. Think we are all caught up on questions.
Okay. And that will bring me into managing your tasting experiences. Everything that is here goes live in real time onto the website. So, it's easy to add. You just, click on the plus here, and, you're able to add an experience, and to edit an experience, it is the same exact screen. So you can just come in here, you're able to, put in a title, you're able to choose your price, for the experience. If you want to do a credit card hold, other people call it a deposit. You can do that as well just by flipping this switch, which is nice. And if you wanted to, add this experience on, say, for Wednesday, you would just tap Wednesday. You come in here to your time slots, and you say, okay, for Wednesday, we want this set up to be 11, 1, and 3, just like our other experiences that we have. And then, if you don't want to use all the table inventory, you can just keep things super simple, and you can say, I want a max party size of 8, and I have a total of 6 tables. And if you want to keep things super simple without adding all that tables into your inventory, that's all you need to do right here. This lead time, with the lead time of 0, that means that you can have same day reservations. If you need 24-hour notice, you just change that to 1. Some people, they have like food tastings, that require like 5-day notice. So you just bump that up to 5. This turn time, helps with the table management side of things. So we know, how long that experience is, supposed to be going on for and how long they're supposed to be seated at the table. So now that we've added this for Wednesday, we update this experience. And when we come back here for to place the reservation, and I just did a quick refresh, you can see when we go here to July that all of Wednesday is here now available. And it's super easy to set up all of those experiences. Other options for experiences, I kind of showed you the mange experience tables where you can just bring in, what tables that you want to. That's, completely up to you. And then we have experience add-ons. This is where you can choose, a charcuterie board or a cheese board. And to add a new one, you just come in here and you're able to come into your photo roll. You're able to choose an image. You put in a title, put in a price, and then you would just tap on add on, and then it would be here waiting for you. If you want this experience to be enabled, it's grayed. If you don't want it to be enabled, you just tap it and it's white. So it's not added to the experience. And these add-ons can be used for any of the tastings. So that's just one bucket of add-ons, and you're able to choose it all between all the experiences. And then we're working on the experience images where you're able to change the order that you want to have the photos. You're able to add photos and all sorts of stuff. I would demo that, but that's not fully baked out yet, so we'll do that later on. But for experiences, that is it, and I'll pause for questions.
Can you quickly show AJ how you handle no-shows?
So no shows, it is kind of a however you want to kind of handle it internally. So let's say that Meg Ryan ended up not showing up. I can't believe she wouldn't show up to the winery. I mean, it's a great winery. You have the ability then to come in here and say you're able to contact them or whatever. And probably the best thing to do, is, come in here for a customer note and said, Meg didn't show, for her reservation on June 28th, 2025. And so you just add that note, that way it's there. And then you can just come in here and cancel the reservation.
Okay.
And so that's up to you, however you want to handle that.
And then I think there's also, can you show one more time how you seat a reservation that's not a walk-in? So how you,
Yeah, let me see if let me place a reservation for today. I don't have any openings there for today's the 26th. Let me enable the 26th real quick. So we're going to come in here and enable Thursdays. And we're just going to create a time slot of 4 o'clock. And the reason I can't show it right this very second is you can only seat customers on the day of. So as we come in here, I'm going to come in, take this back to reservation. So now we'll come in here, say book now. Yeah, so now Thursdays are enabled. There's my 4 p.m. Size of 4. And we'll skip that, and there's our confirmation. So now when I come in here to my table map, the demo gods were happy.
I think you were on July 3rd.
Oh, that's right. I did that. You're right. Thank you. Darn it. 'Cause I need to do it for today, and that's not. So is that, do I have a lead time set up for that? Lead time of 0 Thursday. That should be showing up. Oh, I have a different setting for that somewhere. That's all right. I have a feeling this isn't going to show same day because I think, yeah, I'm going to switch to another computer here real quick. So give me just a sec.
While you do that, do customers get emailed if you cancel their reservation and they no show?
Yes.
Okay.
Your upcoming reservation. Yes. There is a cancel. So when you cancel, the customer does get a email.
Awesome.
All right, Tara Jean, Mark. There. Okay, so now we should have same day booking set up here. Okay, my apologies for that. So now we have the 26th enabled. PM. Yep. All right, so there's our 4 p.m. tasting that we just set up. And so it's just like a walk-in customer. And so you just tap on the customer and then you just seat them right there. So instead of earlier, this said, walk-in customer, it says the person's name, then how much time is left itself.
Got it. Great. All right. That is it for now for the questions. So if you want to continue on.
Yep, and we are starting to run out of time. I
Actually,
thought we would.
really quick, what happens to fees on a no-show? Like if you've canceled their
Hmm.
reservation?
That is totally up to the winery, however they want to handle that. We'll dive into events real quick. So events, very similar to experiences. It's a very similar interface. I already showed the public and private. You can do multiple dates here. So you just choose, come here to the calendar. You're able to tap on a date, and then that is good to go. Your start time, end time, number of tickets and ticket price. And then you have your description. And then all sorts of options here. This is where I was saying earlier, for the time slot of 11 or 1. But if you wanted this to be, like gluten-free, you could change this to gluten-free. Limit the number of tickets, you can do that. However you want to set up these options, that is pretty free form to however you would like to do it. And then discount codes, you have the ability to put in discount codes if you want, for members, or sometimes people do industry discounts or whatever. All those discounts are there. And then you're able to see like your attendee list. So right now this is filtered on the 7th, but you can come here to the 28th and see who has bought tickets. You can check them in, you can refund. And if you want just a nice little printed out list of everything, you just tap on email list, and that whole list goes right to you, and you can print it off and just manually check people off one by one. And I know I went through ticketed events really quickly, but I know we're also kind of running out of time. So I'm trying to save time for questions.
Yeah, so if anyone has any last questions, please enter them in the chat and then um, we will go over them quickly. It's really great, AJ.
Yeah, thank you.
If we only plan to use this once a quarter, can we pause in the off months or is it a minimum of 50 a month regardless? So I guess they're wondering like the commitment. What's the commitment?
Right. If upfront that I know that it's only going to be like a quarter on, quarter off kind of basis, I'm always willing to work with the winery and whatever they need, and we'll work out whatever is needed.
Okay. Mm, not a lot of questions. I think everyone is very impressed though. You've got quite a few compliments.
Awesome.
Um, anything?
Here's one. How customizable is the Block55 page UI? Can we add our own colors and fonts? And also, how customizable is the email content?
Hmm.
So the font, unable to customize the font. The color here, like this Get Started green. It can be any color that you want it to be. And then the email that goes out, it can be somewhat customizable. You'll have to work with me one-on-one. I don't have a user interface set up to change, the text that goes into the actual email itself. That's something that we are working on, but it can be customized. It's just something that I have to do myself.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. I don't think we have many more questions, but we'll wait a minute or so, see if anybody has
Okay.
something. Um,
And as they're kind of going through that, I've already kind of talked about pricing, starts at $50 a month. Everything that I showed here, you know, is starts at, that $50 a month pricing that I kind of already talked about.
mhm.
And, here's a little QR code. If you want to just take your phone, it will direct you to the Block55 website, and you see a little bit more information, and you can request to get a one-on-one demo and ask all the questions that you have.
We will also be sending a copy of this video out to everyone, and it will have information to contact AJ and just about Block55 in general.
So thank you.
Hmm. We have a question that maybe you just have an opinion on. So it's not really app related, but do you think it's recommended to list the tastings available as a menu and collect the payment upfront, or what do you find that most of your customers do?
Mostly what everybody is doing is, they put a price on the actual listing itself,
Mm,
and a majority of people are showing up, and not let me back up. They put a price on, but they're not charging at the time of reservation, right? So what they're doing is keeping things a little bit simpler and charging the customer when they come on site, through their point of sale.
yeah. And then you can just do that credit card hold if you want to have that as some insurance. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
All right. I think this was great.
Well,
Um,
yeah. Yeah. Thank you. This has been amazing. It's, I have to say, I've been working with the Vinoshipper team, this year, and getting to know everybody has been absolutely a joy and a pleasure. And uh, just wow, it's just amazing to work with such a great team. And thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate it.
of course. Thank you. We really appreciate it. I'm very excited for you and excited for all the
Yeah.
customers to use this because it's wonderful.
Thank you.
All righty. We are good to go, I think. Everyone have a great day.